the UPDF Amendment Bill, of course, it is a good one. And you see the UPDF Amendment Bill, I don't see any contention at all that members should make an argument over it. This is a military logistic matter. It is only a matter of Parliament giving authority to the military now to begin handling its logistics in a clear manner. The question here would be, how do we set up military standards in the management of logistics of the army? That is the most critical thing. It is not about the court-martial. You know, people are taking it to be a court-martial issue. But the issue is, how do we develop standards in terms of governance of military stores, which are the resources of the military? Both arms, ammunition, expendables, ratio, clothing, and other items as well. Now, but you will see that there are people who are so reactionary in this matter. But of course, the army is saying, give us authority for us to set our own standards of our own resources. And again, they are seeking authority, of course, to create definitions in the interpretation clauses. Number one, they are seeking authority, of course, to define arms and ammunition, to define both logistic items, expendables and the rest, military stores, military trade and the rest. And of course, again, provide authority for them to set up their standards. Like now the engraving of the boots, again, providing codes on their military dresses, or military clothings, so that at least if you have those engravings and the codes in their own clothes, then it will be easier for them now to identify whether you are possessing military clothing or military items. And then again, there is an issue to do with cannibalization of military items. Like talk of a truck of military that are stalled for some time, and you go and remove some spare part from it and take it away. So how should the army be able to control that? Now, that's why I say it is purely logistic matter. But most of our other individuals think that probably it is only about the court-martial. Now, let me give you a critical definition here now. That if we are able to define the word militant, who is a militant person? A militant person is one who is recruited into the army legally. That is number one definition of the militant. Number two, a militant as well is one who recruits oneself into the army by possession of military stores. These are military stores. Now, once we entrench that definition in the interpretation clause of the UPDF Amendment Bill, then we will be able to capture the question of the court-martial now. Yes.
But there has been an issue of abusing the court-martial. Are you concerned about it?
The abuse, the setup now that they are bringing up will now streamline the question of the abuses. Now, by you introducing the Judicial Service Commission, then you would be reducing now the abuse by the court-martial. Otherwise, the whole process is very good. Now, where I had issues as well is that when you refer in the Schedule 7B and say these are uniforms, these are uniforms. No, those are clothings. Those items that are specified in Schedule 7B are military clothings. Because the moment you mess up again, you will be messing up with the training of logisticians in the army. Now, with them, they refer any other military gear that is held by a military officer, including the mattresses and the same uniforms and the boots. Those are referred as clothings. Now, when you again classify the items, when you classify these items and say these are classified items of the military, yes, it is okay because it is a preserve of the army. But the question is, one, you should be able to distinguish this and say, one, is this item prohibited, or two, is this item restricted? Now, if it is restricted in nature, it is restricted for import, it is either restricted for export. Now, you will be able now to again separate it from ownership by other people apart from the military. Yes.
Thank you. Like you have stated, I'm Russell Robert, representing the people of Bungo County, Southern Mbale. And like you have said, I'm from the East. Concerning the UPDF bill, for us what we know, government stores are the prerogative of the Ministry of Defense. And that is, in simple terms, refers to UPDF. So what we are now seeing, if I may talk in terms of arms, if a civilian happens to own an ammunition which is legally or lawfully acquired and commits a crime, that one should be subjected to a civil court, because he has acquired his gun, pistol lawfully. So that one makes him to be presented to a civil court. But if
what when it is illegal?
If he illegally, unlawfully owns it, then that one, why do you own an ammunition illegally? That one should be taken to a court martial because he has acquired it illegally. But if a person lawfully gets his gun, pistol with a license, should there be anything for that person to be questioned, then he should be taken to a civil court. But these ones who acquire illegal guns, why do you acquire illegal guns and yet there are proper procedures of acquiring it? I think I'm being clear on that. Then too, if you are caught putting on a military uniform, why do you go for an attire which does not belong to you as a civilian? Civilians have their specific attires. Go for these other ordinary clothes. What belongs to UPDF should be a prerogative of UPDF. And it is very clear. I don't see any controversy there.
Honorable, you appropriate money to the judicial every other year.
Yes, please.
To serve justice.
Yes.
Why not in this case? The judicial.
The judicial to serve justice.
The courts of judicature.
I'm telling you, the court martial handles a specialized service in regard to military appliances. That one is a specialized court to handle military matters. And should we risk disorganizing the court martial, then these unruly paramilitaries and the combatants, we shall lose control over them. It brings control over the militants and those who attempt to poke into the military possessions. You know, we NC elina okuteekateeka abantu baayo oba citizens okubeera mu mbeera ennungi, okubeera lawfully, okukozinga order. Kati nga civilian tosobola okudisipulininga bano b'amagye. Abamagye babadisipulininge ne kooti y'amagye, abo abenyigira mu bintu ebikwatagana ku by'amagye babateeke babatwale mu kooti z'amagye. Naye abo abasiviliani oba abakozesa ekintu ga pistol, manyi pistol ekolagana ku by'amagye, naye omuntu bw'afuna pistol ye mu mateeka, alina layisensi biki, bw'akola omusango, oyo mumutwala mu kooti z'abantu bonna ze tuyita civil courts. Naye abo kati nga abayeekera, kati otwala omuyeekera mu civil court ate alina ebintu bisobola okuleetera eggwanga obuzibu, oyo bamutwala mu kooti martial. Lwaki wenyigira mu bintu by'amagye ate gwe toli wa magye? Naye oyo alina license, alina kapisto ke okwekuumisa, oyo bamutwala mu kooti z'abantu bonna ze tuyita civil courts. Nze siraba controversy mu kintu kino.
Well, as a matter of fact, we want to thank the committee that has been looking through this and collecting views from various stakeholders who've appeared to present their opinions as far as this bill is concerned. So I think let's not preempt what will come out of that, and let's wait for the discussion to reach on the floor. And I hope it will be a harmonized discussion between the opinions that have been secured from the various stakeholders who were invited and what finally the bill will have come up with. Let's not preempt that, but let's wait for that.
Yes, and I know you got the copy of the bill in your pigeon box. I want to understand, though, from what you have read in this bill, what's your opinion on the matter?
Well, the opinion on this matter, one, the protection of stores of the military, and that for security in that case is a preserve of the military. And getting ourselves involved, especially in misuse of stores that are a preserve of the military, is something that we definitely wouldn't leave to them. And that is where we are seeing a lot of contention coming up. Personally, I raised it in caucus, where many times we have had opportunity which are yet even to come again, where we move to Chankwanzi, to the Leadership Institute, and we are privileged to be enjoying the services of decommissioned stocks and stores of the military. So I raised that. What will be the situation for us who are privileged to enjoy decommissioned stuff like uniforms and so on? And that was also ably answered. So I think let's not preempt so much. Let's wait for the team that was given opportunity to now in detail come up with what will be important for all of us. We shall share in the debate in the House.
My final question, on the trial of civilians who have acquired military stores, what's your take on that?
The Supreme Court was very, very clear and gave very good guidance that any person who is to be tried in that respect should come before people who are competent as far as judicial affairs is concerned. And for that request, which we also discussed and agreed, that the military leaders who will be presiding over these cases should be of the equivalent of judges of the High Court. So the moment they have the minimum requirements, we would have no problem. Then secondly, there is also room which used not to be there before, that whoever will be a victim, it can be me, it can be you, there should be provision for you to revert back to the civilian courts at an appeal level. So it can be anyone, but that positive trajectory of how the matters will finally be concluded is equally important, because you might find yourself in the military, maybe because of one or two situations here and there, but you have room to run back and get to the civilian courts as you move on the levels of appeal. We only need to ensure that it is a seamless situation where you are not deterred or stopped from progressing up, and also appearing before someone who is competent enough to be a judge, both of the High Court and other jurisdictions in that level, will also be very good in that. So I would request myself and you and other listeners out there, let's avoid getting involved in issues that are related to stores of the military and anything that will put us into a situation of going to the military court, because that is the fear of everyone. Let's avoid that, and we all live safely in the country, respect the law, and be law-abiding citizens.
Yes, and finally from me, this provision of trial civilian military court was put in this law in 2005. Not until it was so much abused recently that students came up and questioned the mandate of this court. The issue has been no abuse, because you can say let's avoid. Someone brings a gun and puts it in my house and they arrest me. They do it in the court martial. Last time I saw you celebrate.
Ekisooka etteeka lyajja ne basoma mu palamenti engeri gy'omanyi procedures ne processes za parliament. Etteeka eryo ne bagiweereza ku komiti. Twagala okwebaza komiti eyo. Tetunaba kufuna ripooti yaabwe. Komiti eyo kwa kumanya kwange yasobola okuyita abantu b'enjawulo okulaba engeri gye banaateekamu ebirowoozo byabwe wamu bagonjole ku tteeka eryo bulungi, ejje ng'erina ebirowoozo by'abantu bangi abayise mu nsonga ng'ezo n'abalala abalowoozako nti etteeka ennungi eyagala ebintu ebirala biyingizemu mu tteeka eyo. Katusuubire nti enkya etteeka ejja kuja bulungi, ffe tujja kulinda mu komiti kubanga kati nga ku parliament wano buli kalimo ge gajja bagenda ne bamuwa komiti eneetwala obudde okwetegereza bulungi n'okulaba ti ensonga nyingi ez'enjawulo okuva bweru